The internet isn't what it used to be. I'm sure we've all become disillusioned with the information superhighway in one way or another lately. I certainly have. But every now and then I'm reminded of the good parts. The amazing things we'd have missed out on if not for the internet's ability to bring people together. The internet's ability to solve problems that no one before would have ever thought solvable, just for the hell of it. 16 years ago this month, a group of people gathered on an internet forum to solve a tiny part of one such problem. What are we going to name our obscenely ambitious volunteer project to make a video game simulating the entire history of life? They settled on the name Thrive. If only all the other parts had been so easy. "15 years and 11 months later, Revolutionary Games released Thrive version 1.0. The occasion is, to be fair, a bit arbitrary, as it's still only one section of the grand plan that may or may not happen. But it's as good an excuse as any to spread the word again and reflect on the project's history. I have a more in-depth video from a few years back if this one piques your interest, although be warned it's a fair bit out of date now. Thrive is a game about the evolution of life. Version 1.0 marks the completion of the microbe stage. You take control of a single-celled organism, collecting resources, battling other cells, and adding new abilities each generation to keep pace with the simulation of natural selection around you. The most striking aspect of Thrive is its scientific depth. Both the player species and those cooked up by AutoEvo are built directly from chemical processing organelles, which act as workstations in the assembly line, keeping the cell alive. Depending on the environment of your starting region or those you migrate to, you have many options for the design of that assembly line. Do you rely on photosynthesis during the day and store glucose to survive the night? Do you hang around rocks or radiation sources to gather raw materials? Or do you become a jet-propelled super predator with toxin cannons to rain down caustic hellfire upon your enemies? With enough upgrades, you can even bind to other members of your species and become a multicellular colony, progressing beyond the microbe stage to the prototypes currently implemented for the remaining game stages. And yeah, you can tell they're prototypes. But it's cool to have them there, and they demonstrate where this whole thing is going. Thrive 1.0 is not the all-encompassing, ultra-realistic saga of a creature's rise to the stars that it once marketed itself as. Maybe it will be someday, but false hype won't do anyone any favours. Let's take it at face value. The microbe stage is a fully featured game that a lot of people already really enjoy. For that to have come from an open-source volunteer team in an uphill battle against everyone's expectations is kind of a miracle. I can't entirely believe I'm here today saying that. If you're interested in the Thrive that is, irrespective of the Thrive that might be, you can either buy the game on Steam or download the free version direct from the website. Thrive will always be free to download somewhere, a core tenet of the project from the start. And indeed, the only differences in the Steam version are Steam integrations like achievements and workshop support. Thrive is a fun game. Not perfect, of course. There's the odd bit of jank, and I find the UI has recently been suffering under the weight of conveying so many new features. Clarity is the main sticking point. I can sympathise with anyone who finds the way the game communicates overwhelming. The beauty of early access open source, though, is that all these things can be tweaked by anyone with good insight, as I'm sure they will be, alongside the new main development focus of the subsequent gameplay stages. But whatever the game is like now, its unique appeal to me these days is more in the story around it. Travel back to primordial times, and you'll find that Thrive lives in the shadow of Spore. You've probably heard of Spore, the EA/Maxis game about a species' rise from cell to space empire. Spore remains a wonderful game and an outstanding technical achievement, but it too suffered under the weight of its own expectations. Some fans felt cheated out of a scientifically accurate evolution experience. In 2009, a hoax posted to the Spore forum inspired a ragtag team of the most foolhardy of those fans to embark on a new project, developing the true Spore successor. For free. On a loosely organised internet forum, with little to no prior game dev experience. What could possibly go wrong? Long story short, the project fizzled out, but not before a splinter group broke off, having learnt at least some lessons from this first attempt. In January 2010, Thrive was born. Not that it was free of the logistical constraints and overambitiousness, far from it, but enough people kept up enough dedication to eventually attract the right skill sets to start turning concepts into reality. Soon enough, the game was a game rather than outlandish ideas posted on a forum. And though progress was characteristically slow and the team's makeup constantly shifting, the drive towards Thrive could not be stopped. A lot of the events surrounding Thrive's origin and its initial clinging to life tend to get mythologized. Guilty. The unfortunate truth is that most of the people who have ever been involved with Thrive have been kids with unrealistic dreams. Early onlookers were correct to be extremely skeptical. I hope no one takes that as an insult to anyone's work or passion, because those were pivotal to building the foundation, but it is probably the truth. What goes unappreciated by comparison is the hard work dragging Thrive out of its nebulous beginnings to become a serious endeavour. The boring stuff, essentially. Setting up a legal organisation, migrating to the latest engine version for the nth time, moderating and squeezing feedback out of the community. When you're a teenager joining the dream team to make the new Spore, you don't really think about those bits. As it grew up, Thrive's identity shifted. The Spore comparisons may still be undeniable, but modern Thrive thinks very little about its original goal. No game can be all things to all men, so the scope narrowed. Make a good microbe stage that can stand on its own, they said. That's achievable, it's proof this crazy organisational structure could work, and even if that's the end of it, well, we'll have something fun, at least, to be proud of. Today, with that hurdle at last overcome, Thrive looks a very different beast to that which crawled out of the oceans 16 years ago. The original devs have long since disappeared to do more sensible things with their lives, as have most of the multiple generations after them. Sales and donations pay for one full-time developer, with a stable core team of volunteers and transient contributors always passing by in the spirit of open source software. That's not to say the kids with unrealistic dreams are gone, but there's a focus and a steadiness to development now that could go on as long as it needs to. Who knows? It's gotten this far. Now, I'm sure most of you know, but for those who don't, I was heavily involved with Thrive for a long time. I was a composer, I was the person who wrote the dev blogs for a while, and eventually I was a programmer. I left the team some time ago, really just because it seems in safe hands now, and I found my interest waning after so long. Nonetheless, I still find it quite life-affirming to see a collaborative internet project with no prospects come so far, especially when all its financial support has been voluntary. I was particularly struck recently when I watched the interview the team managed to get with one of the original Spore developers. It feels very legitimizing for Thrive to have grown up enough to catch the attention of the people who inspired it. With all that said, last I heard there was some doubt over Thrive's financial future. It's been hard for the team to sustain the sales and Patreon support they need to continue as they have been. So I thought I'd add a note at the end here to ask you to go support them if the game or the story behind it has interested you. As a disclaimer, the only money I get from Thrive is ad revenue on my videos for it, and sales or plays of the tracks for it specifically under my name on music sites. If you buy the game or soundtrack on Steam or donate via Patreon, all of that goes towards the current team. So again, if you're intrigued, head over to those places. Or again, you can download the game for free to see if it's something you'd actually want to support. Or maybe you'd even like to help out in some capacity. I put a link in the description to the Get Involved page too. Anyway, to tag on an unrelated bit at the end here, you may have seen a couple of months ago that I made a post stating that I was going on hiatus from YouTube. Sadly, this video is a blip, and that decision still stands. I just thought I would use my platform to spread the word again for Thrive 1.0 while it's still fresh. I'm not going to call it retirement, because the temptation to go back to video making is still there, but I'd like to avoid it for as long a time as I can, really. I'd like other things to take priority for a while, you know? So thanks for all the support, both for me and for Thrive. As I said, it means a lot to know that good things can come from groups of anonymous people on the internet. That's all for now, and if I am back someday, I'll see you then.